What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Brand podcast. Today, we are going to be discovering a problem. Well, not discovering, it's already been discovered. We're going to be talking about the number one problem that we discovered that a lot of Etsy sellers are making. And we've discovered this after we were doing several Etsy shop audits. And it's something that just keeps coming up over and over and over again. And we decided to dedicate this entire live to really helping fix this problem early, or even if you're currently experiencing low traffic, low sales, or no sales. And a lot of times it comes down to this one big problem, a mistake that can be avoided, by the way. And well, I'll just kind of throw it out there and I'll let you know what that is. So this way here, if you want to leave, you're more than welcome to, but I think you're going to want to stick around because we're actually going to show you how to fix this. But the big problem is there's a lot of Etsy sellers that are optimizing their listing. They're using SEO, and usually it's pretty good SEO. They're finding keywords that they think people are searching for, and then they're listing their product, and they're wondering, why am I not getting as much traffic as I thought I should be? Or why am I not getting the sales? And a lot of times it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with a bigger problem, a bigger issue. And that is no one is even looking for that. It's demand. It's what we call a demand issue, a product demand. Now, we could go and say, well, we're looking at the niche. Maybe the niche doesn't have enough demand. We're not even going to go there today because the Etsy shop audits that we have done, there usually is a niche there that has demand. It's just not being addressed properly as far as where should you be focusing your time and energy when looking for products to sell. Sometimes you are on a really good product, but you're not optimizing it for the demand keywords or the demand keywords that are leading to sales. And that's another issue. So what we're going to do here today, though, is we're going to roll our sleeves up and we're going to get into it and we're going to address this. And we're going to give you 3 steps for, number one, looking at the demand currently that you have, but also looking at it before you even decide to launch a product. And this way here, we're going to save so much time, so much energy, and we're not going to be trying to fix something that just isn't fixable, because that's kind of what I see this as. So that's what we're going to be talking about here, Chris. Hopefully I teed that up well, and we're going to dive in here. I know that you've been on these Etsy shop audits that we've done. Am I wrong in thinking this, Chris?
No, I think you're right on the point. And the thing that's interesting, Scott, is if anybody that's watching this has been listening to us for the last, I don't know, 2-3 years on this topic, they probably assumed that we would say the number one mistake that Etsy sellers are making are that they don't have a niche, or for our buddy Pedro in the chat, a nicho, right? And what we're seeing is that's finally starting to change. I know I've seen a few videos, even over the last few weeks, Scott. I watched another one this morning from some other Etsy influencers talking about how important having a niche is, right? And a year ago, 2 years ago, that was not the case. Everybody was saying, go after just whatever products you can throw up and launch. So we've finally kind of conquered that myth. And that's something you and I rant on all the time and get yelled at for based on how we pronounce that word. But I'll take the win where I can find the win. Now what we're seeing is people don't do the second step of that process. And the process that you and I have always advocated for is, okay, let's find a few nichos that we're interested in, and then validate the products inside of those to make sure that they meet whatever demand means to you, right? Whatever your goal is, different niches are going to have different demands. And for some people, if you want to earn $1,000, $2,000 a month, you can go after much smaller niches. For other people, you're going to have to go after the big boys, right? You're going to have to find a way. If you want to make $25,000 a month on Etsy, you're going to have to find a way to squeeze into the wedding niche or something like that. And where people seem to be missing that part of the process is that you have to validate how many sales are in that niche before you can say, this is my niche and this is going to take me to the promised land. This is my gold mine, right? And we're not seeing that. So what we're doing today, and I think you laid out, Scott, 3 different steps that people need to follow.
Yeah.
to make sure that they understand this. Before we really dive into this, can you explain a little bit about how we look at demand? Because I know the question that you and I are going to get a million times in the comments is, but what do you mean by demand? How much demand is exactly enough demand? And I know that's part of what you're going to cover here in step one, but is there a general rule of thumb that applies to everybody before we dive into that?
Yeah. Well, I think it comes down to everyone's demand is going to be different. I think we need to be clear on that because a lot of times people they just want to know like what is the exact number that I have to look for that's good demand. And you may have different products that have more demand at different times of the year. I mean, Christmas is a perfect example, right? If you're selling Christmas ornaments, you're going to have more demand then than you are now. But there's also evergreen products out there that are going to have, steady demand. And it really does come down to an individual by individual basis. It really truly does. And in step one, we are going to cover that and kind of like how to really figure out what your demand is. Because like I said, everyone's demand is different. But here's what I really, really want to underscore and I want to highlight here and to really have people understand. And if all you do is walk away with this one thing, it's a win for me. Because like I said, so many people are looking at, okay, I found a product. I think it's selling, or the numbers say that it's selling, but yet it's not really selling as much as you need it to sell. So that's the first thing. We have to understand that your number is going to be different. But more importantly, is let's say that you have that product and you're like, that's the product that's going to get me to where I need to go, right? Like whatever your goal is. And then you're like, I'm going to use good SEO. And SEO, I mean, you're going to have a good title, you're going to have good images, you're going to have a good description, you're going to have good tags. You've done the research. And you might be looking at keyword searches and then basing your decision on that, which is another mistake all on its own, is we're looking at keyword searches, not actual sales. So, don't look at keyword search as your overall demand. Like, yeah, that might be able to tell you like there's people searching for this, but are people buying it? But also a lot of times the keyword research tools out there, Ever Be Included, and they'll admit it, is it's an algorithm that they created that's giving you a good guess of what it is. So we never want to base our decisions on that. But my thing is here, and this is what I really want you to take away, is demand is sales demand, not necessarily traffic demand. And that's a big one. All right. Are people actually buying it? And I mean, buying it to the numbers that are going to allow you to reach your number. And again, we're going to get into that in step one here very, very shortly. But Chris, that's how I see it. And that's what I think people make the mistake is looking at the keyword search. And then they spend so much time is like, I'm going to find those keywords that no one else has. And that's going to lead people over that didn't know that the product was here, or I'm going to get ahead in the search engines for that keyword. And you might find something, you're like, look at that. It gets 300 searches a month. I'll be the only one showing up for that. But there's 300 people. Out of those 300 people, how many people are buying from those searches if you happen to show up there? Right. And we all know that a good conversion rate is like above 1%. Let's call it 1%. If you have 300 searches and you do happen to show up for the top spot and you get every single click, you have a chance of getting, 3 sales. Okay. So we have to be very, very careful with that. So Chris, I went on a little bit of a tangent there on that, but hopefully I made myself clear.
I think you did. And I'm laughing at the chat. Elysian Workshop said Frederick or Frederic, right? Like Nietzsche is how we should say that from now on. The good old German philosophy joke going on in the chat. But Scott, I think the biggest thing, and this is something, even when we've done demand validation videos in the past, that is where people get confused. So I think being absolutely clear, and guys, let me know if that's clear in the chat. We're not looking at demand from a keyword estimation standpoint. We're not looking at demand from how many potential people are there that could be searching for this thing. We're looking at demand based on the downstream effect of those searches. I don't care if my main keyword has 100 searches, if there's 100 purchases in that niche. What I do care about is instead of going after a keyword that has 100,000 monthly searches and 5 purchases every month, that we can focus and understand what our overall demand is. And it's not as simple as saying there's 100,000 searches. I know I'm going to get 1% of that or 3% of that when I launch a product. That's not how this works. We have to look at the existing demand for the products in the niche. And the only way to do that is to look at a sales estimation tool and understand what it actually looks like on the downstream effect of those keyword searches. You cannot SEO, advertise, email your way out of a product that no one is looking for. And I think that's the thing we want people to take away from this. It's not just looking for it at the surface level, but it's actually looking for and purchasing. So we can't SEO our way out of that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And that's what we see a lot of people trying to do. They say, oh, there's 15,000 monthly searches for this. Cool.
Mhm.
5 sales. Okay. It doesn't matter how much SEO we do for this, how many ads we run, how many emails we send. We can't sell more than 5 because that's kind of the cap of demand within the Etsy ecosystem. That's a number people need to know. And that seems to be the biggest sticking point that people have.
Yeah. I would like to know also in the comments, how many of you feel like you are finding products with good demand, meeting the criteria in a sense that's going to help you hit your numbers? Like, I'm just curious, are you thinking about demand, or are you just thinking like, I think that's a good product for my niche, I'm going to go ahead and sell that? So I'm just curious, how many of you are thinking of demand? Now, even if you are not thinking about the demand in the correct way, I'm just curious, are you thinking about how many sales are actually being generated? Because here's the deal, okay? And we're going to get into step 1 here in a minute. But here's the deal. If you are not doing this, okay, then you're kind of just shooting randomly at the target. And you may be doing all this work without even having the ability to hit your number, because it's impossible. It's just impossible because the product you chose does not have good demand. Or if it has good demand, like maybe you say, yeah, it's selling 100 per month. That's exactly what I would need. But there's 10 other people that are competing for the same thing. You have to assume that you're not going to get all 100 sales. Okay. So that's some things that we need to think about. So let us know in the comments. I'm curious. And we're also going to have some other things that we're going to want you to respond to. So if you are here live or on the replay, you can play along. All right. So that's what we're going to do. And also, before I do move on, Chris, you and I put together a training that we did a few months back where we showed us finding 3 products that were making $1,000 per month. And we went through the entire process on doing exactly what we're talking about, finding products that have demand. Now, in this case, we were like, okay, we want to find 3 products that are hitting $1,000 per month. And that's what we did. We actually went through and, we showed everyone what we were doing. If you would like access to that, in the comments, let's see, comment products. Okay. Just put products in the comments and we'll make sure that we send you over the link. So this way here, you can go ahead and watch that. All right. So make sure that you do that if you're interested in kind of seeing like over the shoulder, us taking you through using Everbee, using the filters, using numbers that show us that it has good demand. If you'd like that, put products in the comments and we'll go ahead and make sure we get that over to you. All right. Let's dig in now. Let's get into the 3 steps. All right. And I've got my notes here. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. I'm just making sure that I don't miss anything. All right. So the very first step, and if you are here live or watching this on the replay, play along. Okay. Play along with this. You can definitely plug your own numbers in. Okay. What is your monthly sales target? Okay. And now I don't mean sales, how much you want to generate, how much do you want to make? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all striving for, right? Like, what is profit at the end of the day? Now, this also is very important to mention that you need to know what your profit is. Okay. So for us, typically, my wife, we're shooting for anything above $10 minimum. Okay. But these days we're hovering probably between $15 and $25 profit per item. Okay. And I would say probably 20 would be more of the average, but I would say we've got some that are as high as 25, maybe even a little bit more. That's profit. Okay. So that's what I want you to do. Number 1, if you don't know what your profit is, you need to know what that is. There is a calculator that is built into Everbee, by the way, that allows you to calculate this. And I believe we're going to talk about this later too. Etsy just rolled out their own calculator, which, by the way, it's just okay. It's not that great. But if you want to actually plug in all of your numbers, then let Etsy kind of fill all of the fees and all that stuff, and you can see exactly what your profit is. Everbee has that built into their tool. You can try it for free if you go to brandcreators.com/Everbee. Yes, that's our affiliate link. Yes, we will. You'll be able to buy us a cup of coffee, and we love our coffee. But if you go there, you can try it for free, and the profit calculator is built in there. So that's something that's really important to do. Make sure that you know what your profit is. Now, once we know what the profit is, first off, we also need to start with, what is the target? And in the comments, let me know, what is your target? What is your monthly profit you want to put in your pocket every single month? What is your target right now? Put it in the comments. Again, we're going to play with this. We're going to play live here, okay? Or on the replay, you can play along too. So what is that? Get that number, okay? I'm going to use $1,000 a month, okay? You want to make $1,000 a month profit. Put that in your pocket. And maybe that's like phase one of your journey here. You want to get to 1,000. Once you get to 1,000, you're going to go to 3,000. Then you're going to go to 9,000, like whatever. You can scale that up. Once you get to 1,000, you can keep going. All right. So what we're going to do here is we need to break that down. And we're going to look at this and go, okay, let's say, I'm going to use some round numbers here, so math is easier. Let's say that I'm profiting $20. On average, it's $20. Okay. Now I need to calculate how many sales do I need to hit $1,000? 50. Okay. So if we get 50 sales per month at $20 profit, we're going to make $1,000. Pretty easy, right? Well, now this is where we need to identify, and that's going to move into step 2. We'll talk about that. That's where we're then going to be able to see how much demand potential is out there. And am I going to be able to fulfill this with one product? Am I going to need 2 products? Am I going to need 5 products? And we can keep going on that. But I'm going to stop right there because that is step 1. You need to figure out, what is your monthly target? How much profit are you making per item, or that you're shooting for? Okay. And how many sales per month are you going to have to make in order to hit your target? All right. So that's step 1. Drop that in the comments. What is your target? What is your profit margin? If you want to put that in there too, let us know. All right. So Chris, any questions on that or anything you want to add to that before we move on to step 2?
I think the biggest thing, Scott, that's been a surprise to me is just seeing everybody that's commenting live. The most common number is 4,000 or somewhere around, right? 3,500 to 4,500, which is kind of interesting to me. But the thing that's nice about this, and we've referred to this in the past as something like the 10 by 10 by 1, right? 10 sales at $10 profit times 1 product that gets you to 100. And then you can start to scale that up or scale that down depending on what your number is. But if you use a nice round number for that profit figure, then it makes this really easy to calculate. Obviously, if we're using, Scott, $10 or $20 for that number for our ideal profit, it's okay to make $9 on some and $11 on others, right? That's going to happen because shipping costs might vary from time to time. But what we're talking about here is shooting for that as the average. And I know the question that we're going to get, Scott, is how do you make $10 in profit on a sale on Etsy? How do you make $20 in profit on a sale on Etsy when people are selling sweatshirts for $12? Is it possible, Scott, that they are getting those sweatshirts for like 50 cents and covering those other $2 in Etsy fees and still making that $10 profit? Like, how do we make sure that we're even able to make whatever that profit number is before we go do that calculation?
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. You're not going to do it selling t-shirts, most likely. Now, there's some rare cases that you're going to, have something that takes off. It's going to be yours, and you can get your profit margins up there because you're going to charge more. You're not going to compete at the $14.95 t-shirts. Okay, so you have to kind of get that away from your mind right now. Or mugs. Let's use mugs for an example. And I know, I did this on one of our Etsy shop audits, and people thought it was kind of funny. I don't have one laying around here, but you got the coffee mug, and you see $15,342 a month selling these. Oh, there you go, Chris. Look at that. Chris, put it right there. Look at, you can make $15,000 selling this mug with 2 hearts that say Chris. Yeah, 15,000. And then an avocado mug. We can't hear Chris because he's muted, but I can tell totally what you're saying.
It comes with 2 tea bags. How could you not sell 10,000?
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Okay. Kidding aside, you can't go for those products. Okay. So if you are here right now and you're, listening or watching, and you are thinking like you're just going to sell mugs and t-shirts, it's going to be a tough road. I'll tell you right now, you're not going to make $20 profit. You're not. But let's say that you say, you know what, Scott, I do want to just sell t-shirts and mugs and maybe even throw in some sweatshirts, because sweatshirts do have higher margins, by the way, because you can charge more. Uh, then let's say that you made $10 profit. Okay. No, now you got to sell 100, right? You got to sell 100 items. Okay. So you just have to just do the math. Like the math is going to lead you to what you need to do. Okay. I personally would rather try to find products that I can make more profit and not have to compete with, the oversaturated t-shirts and, mugs and things like that. I'd like to be a little bit different. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. And there's different items out there that you can do it. And you can just be more unique. You can have better quality. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. But I would at least try to focus on finding those products that have higher profit margins. So that's what I would personally recommend doing. But if you're only going to be able to get $10 profit, then you just have to sell 100, right? Now it's okay. Now that's the goal, 100. Okay. And then you reverse that back and you go, okay, and how many is that per day? And then you do the math, right? So what would that be? A little over 3 a day, right? You got to sell just over 3 a day. Let's call it 4 a day. And you sell 120 of them. Now you're over your $1,000, right? But it's going to be harder to sell 100 than it is to sell 50. I think we would agree. So why not do the work to find the products that have higher profit margins and you have to sell less and you make the same amount of money, right? So I would personally rather go down that road. But that's addressing that question, Chris.
And it's funny, Elysian just pointed this out in the chat. They said higher priced items have a lot less overhead as well. The other thing that I've noticed with that, Scott, and somebody used to refer to this as like the Walmart syndrome, right? The more someone pays for something, typically the nicer they are about the transaction. So it tends to be that like the cheaper something is, the more drama there is if something doesn't go exactly correctly. And the more someone pays, and I don't know why that is, but it also seems like you eliminate some of the customer service issues where somebody's like, my mug didn't show up exactly today. You're like, and I spent $9 on it. Okay, I don't control USPS, but you send them a $100 item and they're like, hey, is it going to show up today? You're like,
right.
Here's the tracking info. And so people are afraid that they're going to have more issues. And it seems counterintuitively to actually work the other way, where when people make the decision to purchase a higher value product, that just as a seller, you happen to also make more on, that there's less typically drama around that purchase, fewer customer service issues. Yes, you're still going to have the occasional.
People are nicer,
like that, but people just seem to be a little bit nicer.
I don't know why.
And so don't be afraid of that.
Right. No. Also, I see some new faces, I believe, in the comments. I would love to know, is this your first live? Is this your first time being here? Let us know if this is your first time showing up here today. I'm recognizing some new faces, and I like it. And I see some old faces out there that I really love, because you guys are hardcore, our crew, as we call ourselves. Or a lot of you are backstage passers. I can see that. So I appreciate each and every one of you as well. So awesome. Okay, here we go. Let's dive into step 2, Chris. I know we're going to have questions. Keep the questions coming if you want us to address them. And by the way, too, if you do want to see more over the shoulder of us going through finding 3 products that are making $1,000 per month, just drop products in the comments and we'll make sure that we send you a link to that training. Okay, it's over the shoulder. You can see us going through it. We're using the filters inside of Everbee. You do need Everbee for that, which we have a discount if you go through our link, and that'll be in the description as well. All right, let's get into it, Chris. I'm going to go ahead and pull my notes up. All right, we've done step 1. We know the target. We know what our profit margin has to be. We know how many sales that we need to make. Done. Okay. Now, what we need to do in step 2 is we need to go and find proof that it's possible to hit our number. Pretty simple, right? It's like, okay, you got the target, but now are there enough people searching and buying this product? I don't know. We got to do the research. And this is where you definitely will want to go through that other training, because we do show you over the shoulder filters, how you find this, and looking at all of the ones that are selling on a regular basis. Because here's what we want to do. We want to do a search, okay, inside of Etsy. And then what we want to do is we want to run Everbee, which is going to give us sales numbers. Then what we'll do is we'll sort from the highest to the least, okay, amount of sales. And then we want to cross-check the products that are very similar to our product. And then we want to tally that up per month. And then we can say, okay, there's 300 sales happening. I need 50. Is there a chance that I can grab 50 sales from the 300? Probably. Okay. And that's where now we know that the potential is there. Now, if there's more, that's even better. Okay. Because now we know that the chances have increased for us, because we don't need necessarily to get only part of the 300. We can get part of the 500 or part of the 1,000 sales that are happening. But we want to look at the price that it's selling for. And a lot of times it's not just the price, because even though the price might be lower and people are buying it, it doesn't necessarily mean they wouldn't buy mine. Okay. It's just meaning that there's people that are using their credit card to buy something. This is way different. See how different this is than looking at just keyword search data. If you're looking at keyword search data, you're like, yeah, there's 1,000 people that are searching for this one item using this one keyword, but how many people bought? Okay. That's the most important part. That's the proof that we're looking for. That's why whenever I'm doing product research, I'm not looking at the keyword research at all. I mean, I take that back. I might look at it just to kind of go, oh, that's interesting, but I don't base my decision on that. I base my decision on sales numbers. And I want to see, okay, how many sales have been generated? The other thing that I want to do is, now I'm looking at the month, like the month by month. I'm like looking at monthly sales. The other thing I want to do is I want to look at, okay, how many sales have they had total since selling this item? Now I can kind of go back, do a little bit of division here and go, okay, they've been selling for 12 months. Let's divide that by 12 and let's see if they're consistently selling this many per month. Okay. And then I can see like more of the evergreen effect of this product and what kind of demand it has throughout the entire year. Okay. But this is really where you want to do the research on sales numbers. And you want to look back, not just for the 1 month. You want to look back and see, okay, what has it been for the last 3 months? What's it been for the last 6 months? What's it been for the last year? And then the other thing that I'm looking at here is, how long have they all been selling? If I can find one out of the bunch that has only been selling for under a year and they were able to go in there and get my number that I need, okay, perfect. You just proved to me that I don't need a seasoned account that's 5 years old selling this product for 5 years. It could be someone that just came in and they started a brand new shop and they've had good SEO. They've had, maybe they've had good reviews. Maybe they've ran some Etsy ads to get those sales coming in sooner. And now they're able to be there right with the pack. So that's what we're doing in step 2. We're finding proof. We're identifying and we're verifying demand by the products that have already proven to sell. That's what we're doing there in step 2. Any questions on that? Drop them in the comments. Chris, anything you want to add to that before we move on to step 3?
Yeah, Scott, I know we're going to get the question, how do I actually look at the data? And so if you want, I can pull up an example really fast of what this might look like, and we can chat through it so that people have a better understanding of what exactly is going on here. Because I know we're going to get that comment in the chat if we don't do that. So I pulled up on my side over here. I'm trying to share this with everybody. An example that came out of our philosophy discussion about when a niche isn't a niche or when a niche is a niche, right? So if you don't validate a niche, according to Schrodinger, your niche is both viable and not viable at the same time. If you don't ever look at it, right? It's both viable and not viable. So I chose Schrodinger's cat as our example here. And in this case, what I did was I sorted it by monthly sales. And Scott, do you have a preferred way that you look at this data when you're trying to do the validation?
Yeah, no, usually my process probably similar to yours, is I'm doing exactly what you just did, right? We're putting in that keyword that we want people to, or we want to be found for. And then from there, we're going to sort by monthly sales, which you've done, right? We have 117 on the first one, 104 on the other one, 41 on the other. And I'm going to start looking at them and seeing if they are similar products. Now, these aren't necessarily all the same type of products. So something here that I would want to do, so there's some shirts, right? Some funny cat shirts, but it's got 9, it's got 4. I guess what I would want to do here, Chris, is maybe go into the filters, and I would want to make sure that the Schrodinger's is in there, is that it is included in there. Okay. And then I know I'm going to make you spell that on the fly. Maybe you can copy and paste it. There you go. Oh, look at that. Right. So, and then I would sort it again, because sometimes you have to resort it, but this might be telling us that there's not a lot for that one, that one. Now you went back into the database, into the archives, which Everbee allows us to do, which is pretty awesome. And we're going to let it spin while it goes through all of those 49 million things in the database. But while it's spinning there, go ahead and sort it again. And let's see if we get any monthly sales. But this is a perfect example, because it might show you that there's not enough. And then you're like, I guess we don't go there. Right? We just saved ourselves so much time. Do it one more time, Chris, on the monthly sales. Sometimes it goes in the reverse. All right.
Just taxing Everbee.
I know we're weighing this machine down. We're pulling through all of the data. Now it's coming. It's coming. I can feel it. Here it comes. It's
also highly probable that I misspelled Schrodinger's in the filter.
Okay.
You guys can correct me. But this is the
I mean, Chris,
regardless.
Let's be fair. That's a very, very obscure search, right? That it has to be that cat. So we're not seeing much here. So would we completely get rid of this? Right now, I'd be thinking there's not a lot of people searching for this or buying this. Now, if we went more generic and went like, cat, yard garden flag, or, a cat gift for, or a gift for cat lover. Yeah, there you go. So here, again, we're going through it. Search for your monthly again, just in case it needs to be redone. Okay, so that's selling 23. Another one there is 22. Another one down there is 15. Right now, that's a St. Patrick's Day, so that's a little bit pumpkin cats. That's more there. So you see, this is the process. It doesn't mean that every time you do this, it's going to work. This is how we are seeing, is there enough demand? Okay. Selling for $30. That one's selling for 30. That one's selling for 32. Now, can you go to the previous 70, Chris? Go back to previous 70, because I think you might be still in the database. Yeah. Now go monthly searches again. And one more
Scott,
time. There you go.
While we're doing that, I think the other thing I wanted to point out, and this is another mistake, you mentioned this a minute ago. We see people focusing either on this number,
yep,
or this number.
Yep.
And it's really a combination of the two, because what we want is a product that sells consistently over time. Now, coming out of Q4, the monthly sales are probably going to be a little bit skewed, right? If that's the only time that the product was launched. But the longer a product has been around, which we can tell by just looking at the listing age right here, right? The more likely it is that that monthly sales number is accurate. So we know this Hunkus Punkus garden flag, which I'm assuming is Hocus Pocus, right? Probably a Halloween themed thing, sells about 12 a month. Now, because it's a specific holiday type of thing, is that going to sell more in July, August, September than it is in February? Yeah, but we just have to take that into consideration as we're looking at the individual products. If it's just this random, what is this, cat and dogs mix and match thing, this will probably sell fairly consistently all year round. And we can see, at least over the last 2 months, it's done like 22 and a half, I guess is how they got to 45 per month. But what I would want to see here before I launch that is several products that are similar, that have a long history. And Scott, do you have a number that makes you feel comfortable in terms of how long that product has been around?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would want to see it being around for at least 6 to, I would say even longer, 6 months to a year. So that way there, it's got enough track record. But What I would like to see is if you saw multiple ones that have sold and then you see an outlier that's been only selling for 2 months and then they're in there getting 22 sales, that would be a win. But I still think we're a little vague here. So let's do this, Chris, and then we're going to move on to step 3. But if you go back and you search cat lover gift, just put in cat lover gift and let's see what comes back. Because if I was in the cat market, that's where I'd be starting, right? Because I want to go with something that's a gift. We know that gifting is big right now with, like, there you are, right? They're gifting mode and everything within Etsy, right? So let's go ahead and run the Everbee on this. Okay. Let's see. Yep. Search here. There we go. Okay. So now the other thing that I always do, and this is a little nugget for you guys, if you're using Everbee, is go into your filters and make sure that you put include and then put cat. Okay. Because we don't want to just see a custom colored, type shirt. Right. And then you got to redo that again, Chris. Yeah, that there. Yep. There you go. Okay. So you have a custom cat necklace, cat dad gift, cat birthday card, rock, paper, scissor. Looks like that's a sweatshirt that's selling 194. Now that would get my attention. And I'd be like, okay, does that have to do with cat? It's got to have cat in the title. There you are, right? Rock, paper, scissor. Now that isn't particularly just a cat, but there's a cat in there, it looks like, right? The paw.
Well, yeah. So it's rock, paper, scissors as the cat paw, like what the different symbols are from.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So it is. Okay. So that's an interesting take. Obviously people like that. Now that's a cat sweatshirt. So now would I have to find the same design in order for me to validate it? No, I would want to make a play on that. Okay. Now you got socks, right? But now let's do this. Go up to where your filters are again, Chris. And let's put in there, if you can add to the cat, put cat and then put sweatshirt and see if that'll help us kind of weed it out a little bit. Okay. Yeah, you might need to redo those. There you go. Okay, cool. So there you are, selling $99 a month. Okay, that one, there's another one. That one, there's another one. Okay, now some of these are personalized.
And that's the first thing that stuck out to me just looking at these two, Scott.
Yep.
Is 2 of the top 3 when we're looking at cat lover gift, right? And we're looking specifically at a sweatshirt.
Yep.
Are personalized things.
Yep.
So again, we're just looking for trends as we're going through this.
And so if we were using the 50 sales per month, and I'm thinking I'm going to sell sweatshirts. Now, again, I'm not using t-shirts. I'm using sweatshirts because there is higher margins there. I'd be looking at the one there, the 99 sales. I'd be looking at the 68. I'd be looking at the 58, and I'd be tallying them all up. And I'd be like, hey, I need 50, but there's all of these. Okay. Now, again, we're starting to get in deeper than I was planning on, but let's just go a little bit deeper, Chris. Go into where the Babe t-shirt, the one that's $12, the one that's selling 99. So if you click on that, yeah, let's take a look at this. Listing age is 4 months. They've sold 395. Now, the misleading part here is it says it's $12. I don't believe it's selling for $12. So let's see exactly what's going on with the price. Okay. So it says $6 in cart, right? 50%. Yeah, right. So let's go and select an option and see what happens here. I don't like this strategy at all that people do.
So for whatever reason in the screen share, it's not showing the drop-down list, but there's not even a $6 option in the drop-down list.
Okay.
The cheapest one that's in here is a toddler 2T that they've listed at $10. Oh, there it is. They have a onesie sized at $6 at the very bottom of the list.
Yep.
Right. And so that's not what they're selling here.
Exactly.
Right. What they're selling here are the regular ones, Scott, are 22 to 25.
Okay.
And then they have a crew neck t-shirt that's also on this listing. That is like $15 to $19.
Okay. So it is higher. You're not making your $20 on that, obviously. But they are right now, they're pricing it aggressively. They are pricing it lower. They're trying to get, obviously people in because they see the $6. I think that's misleading. And it looks like we had a comment that said Trixie prices. Yeah. Go back again, Chris. Let's see if we can pull up one other one while we're at it. Because that one there's kind of new. Yeah, let's look at that one maybe. It's selling 49. Let's take a look and see. 741. Okay, it's over a year, so it's been selling pretty regularly. 49 monthly sales, $43. Okay, let's view that and see if that's actually the price. $34 plus. So, okay, let's take a look and see what that actually is.
Yeah, so they have it. It's 34 to 38.
Okay.
And then there's no upcharges for color.
Okay. Okay. So again, we're getting closer. Okay. But this is still telling me people are buying cat sweatshirts. And it's for, if we look at the titles here and everything that they have in here, custom cat sweatshirt, custom cat mom sweatshirt, cat ears, custom cat mama sweatshirt. And I bet you if we look at the tags, we'll probably see like cat lover. So yeah, you're going to pull that up now. Yeah. Cat lover gift, right? Cat personalized. Right now, these volumes and competitors, like it's good, it's secondary good, but it's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at sales. I'm looking at those sales numbers. So, Chris, I think that this was a great example. So we saw the first one, right? Very specific, probably not going to hit our number with that. Is it one that we could maybe add later into our shop that once we get someone into our shop, we can do it? But these are the ones that are like top level, high demand. That's what we're going after. Okay. Yeah. And we're going to talk about it in step 3 is like what we do with this now. But yeah, I think this is great examples. And guys, if this is helpful, hit the like button for us, would you? That would help us tremendously and we would really appreciate it. And if you have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure that you hit subscribe and then you can be notified when we do more live trainings like this. So was this helpful? Let us know in the comments. Let us know. All right. Chris, anything else you want to add to that? I know we went a little deeper there. Anything else you want to add before we roll on out of here and into step 3?
Let's jump into step 3. I think everybody has a better understanding of that now. That last one, Scott, I think is the perfect example. It's been around 13 months. So it's been around long enough for that average to be truly accurate. It's selling really close to that price, whether it's 40 or 34, right? We're making our $10 to $20 on that in most cases. Yep. And we see that it's selling an average of 50 a month. That product alone could get you to that $1,000, right? Okay, 980 if we're assuming there's $20 in profit, right? But that gets us real close with just that one product, and then we can sell anything else related to cats. So that's a prime example of what we're looking for when we go to do that. The only thing before we move on to that, and I know we're going to be talking about this a little bit in step 3, is there a golden rule for the number of things that we find before we say that that niche is validated?
Again, it comes down to your target, right? If you're trying to hit 50 and you can find 300 sales per month of a product that's very similar to the product that you're going to be selling, then I would say, we're probably okay because we can probably get in there. And there's more than just the 50. Obviously more is better. Okay. If you're trying to hit 100 sales and you're like, well, it's only got 300, that might be light. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't sell it. It just means that there's more competition fighting for the availability for the demand. And so that's how we kind of figure that out. So guys, again, if you would like we did an additional training that we can send you, if you just let us know and we'll go ahead and make sure that you get that link. It's Chris and I walking you through exactly how to do what we just did, but we have 3 more examples. If you would like that, just comment products in the comment section, and we will go ahead and make sure that we send you that link and you can go ahead and watch it. All right. All right. Let's get rocking and rolling. Let's get into step 3. Okay. So now that we've set our target, we know what it is. We've then moved on to proving that there's enough demand for us to be able to hit our target. The step 3 here is, let's say, for example, and we just talked about this. Let's say, for example, it falls a little bit short. You're like, well, yeah, it's there. Like there's 300 sales per month and I only need 50. But what if I could find 3 of those products? What if I can find 3? Or what if I can find 5 of those products? Well, now if you're trying to hit 50 sales, it's not dedicated to just one product. So this is where we want to repeat this and we want to widen the net a little bit. And I always tell our students, basically, we want to find 5 products that have really good demand, because now we've just increased our chances of hitting our number without relying on just one product. The other thing is, and this is the other thing that we recommend, is those 5 products should be related to each other. And this is where we get into really building your Etsy shop for a specific niche. okay? Or even just a niche that has sub niches that are very closely related. Because then what happens is, and this is the cool part, is when you find these multiple products that all have demand, now we have all these products, right? These 5 products that have demand, and we've got the traffic coming into our shop. Now, when the traffic comes into our shop, they might not buy this one, but they might buy the other one, or they might add one to the cart. And now we just talked about before about how do you get to $20 profit? You do that by increasing how much someone buys, right? If someone bought one thing and you make $10, but they bought 2, now you make 20, right? So why wouldn't we want to widen the net, add more products to our product line, and now there's not so much weight on the one product. So basically, step 3 is find multiple products that have demand that will allow you to hit your target. It's as simple as that. Okay. Step 1 and 2 are really important. This one here is important as well because it'll actually make it easier for you to hit your target. That's all I got on that one, Chris. Not much there other than just repeat the process, find 3 to 5 products. Anything you want to add to that, Chris? Any questions we have?
No, I think that's fairly straightforward, right? Now that we've validated that there's demand in the niche, we have to take that to the final level, right? And validate that there's demand at enough products that even if instead of selling 49 of the cat sweatshirt this month, we sell 40, that we still are hitting at a bare minimum that goal that we are looking for. And the bigger that goal is, the more variety we want in products. And Scott, I know the question we're going to get, because a lot of people use these terms interchangeably, is do you mean 5 products, meaning pillow, mug, t-shirt, blanket, or do you mean 5 designs? Right. So let's take that happy cat sweatshirt that we were just looking at. Can I very simply just put that same design across a pillow, a blanket, the sweatshirt, whatever? And does that count towards my 5? Or are we looking for 5 independent product types and designs?
You can look at it different ways. Me personally, I would want to look at the front end. Let's call it the front end product. Okay. So if we're looking at that cat shirt, okay, and we're like, oh, that right there sells really well on a sweatshirt and people are buying the sweatshirt, but no one put it on a pillow. No one put it on a blanket. No one put it on a yard flag, like whatever else I can think that would make sense to put it on. Yes, I'm going to do that. That's a given. Okay. Because the work has already been done. All you got to do now is just a little bit extra work and go into Printify or whatever you're using and add it to multiple products. But no, I would not make that one of the 5. And the reason why is because we don't know that the pillow has demand because no one's really selling it yet. Okay. So to me, that's just additional. We call this our product blitz, by the way. This is how you can do a product blitz very, very easily. Is you find 5 of those products, okay, or 5 of the designs, let's call it, but they're products. They're products that are, being purchased, but the design is on it. We want to find 5 of those or 6, and then we want to create 5 or 6 additional products off of the one design that we've already done the work. Now we take, 5 products and we bring it up to where we have 30 products, okay? Increasing our chances for people finding us and also buying more things. But no, I would make it where I would want 5 products that are independently getting demand. And then that's going to widen the net there, but it's also going to widen the, or not even just widen the net, but it's going to increase the inventory, the product inventory that I have available for when someone does come into the shop. So if you think about it, you're just adding more things that sell on the one type of product, the one type of item, and then you're just taking that and you're putting it on other products for them to purchase if they choose to, or someone that didn't come in from that in the first place. And then they come in and they're like, oh, that's a cute pillow. I'd love to buy that throw pillow for my couch, but it's on a sweatshirt. That's where you got the idea. So that's how I would base that, Chris.
And I think that's understanding how this works and having a few truly different lines in the water, right? Design plus product type, or design inspiration with your own original design on a similar product type is the best way to start. But that doesn't mean we can't immediately take that and put that out onto other product types, as long as it's something the niche would buy. Are cat lovers likely to buy a dog bowl? Probably not. But if we can find a print on demand cat bowl, that would probably work. right? And so if we're able to find those multiple products, it makes everything we do from a marketing perspective much more effective. It means, yes, we're going to have some keyword overlap, which means we have multiple listings that have a chance to rank for cat lover gift. It means that when we send those repeat customer coupons in the back end of Etsy that we set up, right? That the thank you coupon, I think is what Etsy calls it, that it's going to be more effective because people can come back to the shop and find something that resonates with the niche that they're already interested in. That's not the exact same thing. And so it makes SEO more effective, it makes ads more effective, and it makes all of the conversion rate things and repeat customer things that Etsy is really doubling and tripling down on in 2024 substantially more effective.
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of questions are coming in. We're going to try to address as many as we can. We have a couple other topics that we wanted to talk about, Etsy news that's kind of came out that we want to address. But I did want to say this here. We're trying to give you as many resources as we possibly can. And because we know how important this is. Once again, if you want that training, if you're coming in late and you missed it, we did have a training that Chris and I went through. We found 3 products using this strategy really to find 3 products that had demand that were doing $1,000 per month. If you want that, just in the comments, write products and we'll make sure that we get that over to you. The other thing is, I've been talking a lot about Everbee. Chris just showed you Everbee. And if you would like to try it, you can try it for free. You get, I believe it's 10 free searches. You can use the profit calculator. But if you would like to try that, I'm going to go ahead and give a little shameless plug here. We are affiliates for it. You will buy us a cup of coffee, which I have one right here. Actually, this is tea because that's what I'm usually drinking, some tea with honey for these lives because we talk so much. But yeah, so if you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, you go through our link. And if you do upgrade to the growth plan, we'll get a cup of coffee and we'd appreciate it. You'd support the show. So that's the Everbee. And then the other thing is we are going to answer some questions, but we do have it's a club, which we call the Backstage Pass Club, where we do Etsy shop audits and we basically break down Etsy shops. And a lot of times it's doing this right here. It's finding either sub niches or other products that might have demand that they might have been missing. But we also answer questions here on the lives. We basically use the Backstage Pass Club members as like, that's their questions to be able to, or their questions to be answered during these lives. We kind of put them at the top of the list. We'll still answer if you're not part of the club, but we always go to them first. If you'd like to be part of the club, go to brandcreators.com/club and you can join the cool club. I think that's what people have called it. The cool kids hang out there. Anyway, Chris, well, yeah, I mean, I guess cool kids club.
Does it count if you call it that? Like if you've called it that in the past, can you still say people have called it? You are a person.
No, some people have said, I feel like we're in the cool kids club. So I figured I would just bring attention to it. But yeah, I do call it the cool kids club because I'm still a kid and I think it's the cool kids club. So there.
It's all about internal age, right?
Yeah.
If you never, it's Peter Pan syndrome, I think that's the phrase that they use for that. I'm 100% on board. Art by Flynn puts up a great marketing question for Etsy. Is there a way to add in an upsell manner connected to the listings, to the items on a listing? No. Having related things will help them show up. But the best way to do that is to use that thank you coupon that comes out at the end and just refer people back to the store. Everbee's emails, if they're in there, you can refer related products and some of those kinds of things. But there's not a great way within the Etsy ecosystem to add an upsell product. It is something that I think would be really, really cool for Etsy to add in. And if they're serious about what they talked about being their 2024 goals in terms of increasing the number of repeat customers, increasing brand loyalty on the platform, those kinds of things, that would go a long way to helping you up purchase price. But Scott, you made this point a little bit earlier, which was basically, hey, we just have to do the best job that we can of creating those connected products. And if you look at the buyer data from the 2023 Etsy buyer survey that we did, once people have bought, they're much more likely to come back to Etsy and start at the store level. So as long as your stuff is related, when they come back to Etsy, they're going to start more likely at the store level. And I think that makes sense, right? If you have a cat lover and you're buying a cat lover gift and they really, really liked it, then you're probably going to end up going back to that store. Just like if you bought your last TV at the home theater shop down the street, they did a great job with you. You're probably going to go there before you go to Best Buy just to give them a chance, right? Same thing applies on Etsy. Scott, what is the reason that you filtered for up to 12 months? Is there a reason why you wouldn't check the listing for 24 to 48 months?
Yeah, well, I don't believe we filtered it unless you threw that filter in there. I didn't think so. No, we didn't filter it for 12 months. Although I have done that before, because then I only want to see shops that have, or the product listing that's been 12 months old. The reason why is because if we're looking at total sales, you can look at the total sales, but they might have had total sales 3 years ago. Okay. But not as many right now. So a couple different reasons. Number one, I want to see what's been relevant now and that's been selling well now, like over the last 12 months. That's the reason why we do that. Now, seeing total sales also sees okay, there's a lot of sales that happened here and they happened over the course of 4 years. That's another thing that we would do. But I would definitely use the filters to look at listings that are 6 months old, because then what that's going to do is it's going to give me the outlier that's actually done well in a short period of time, which gives me hope as a new product seller of that item that I have a chance to get in there and get that many sales. And then I'm going to pay attention to that product listing and see what they're doing, what kind of tags are they using, what's their SEO look like, what's their images look like, all of those things. So that's the reason why we're looking at that versus a shop that's 4 years old. Hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah. I had a couple more here, Scott. Miriam wanted to know, why is my badge purple now? Is there any reward for this? So Miriam is part of that Backstage Club. Fortunately, when we put this up on the live, it doesn't show us her badge color. But if you are on YouTube watching this, you'll see some people with different colored badges. That's just an indication of how long they've been hanging around as a Backstage Pass member. I think, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong on this, green would be like 1 month, then it goes to purple, and then orange, red, and then there is a gold one after you've been around for a while. I don't think we've actually had Backstage Passes long enough for anybody to be at that level yet. But yeah, the different colors just let us know at a glance how long somebody has been around, and it gets you cool kid points. They're not really redeemable for anything other than thumbs up and acknowledgement from us in the chat. But
what's the whose line is it? The show with you get points, but they don't matter.
The badges are made up and the cool kid points don't matter. Patty Pancake says you're a purple people eater now. So I like that. Right. We got to get the Backstage Pass people to name the different badge colors so we can call them out in the chat.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, and for all of you Backstage Pass Club members, just to let you guys know, we do have the next date for our Etsy shop audits. That will be April 11th, I believe, and that is on a Thursday. And we will be announcing that inside of the YouTube private channel. So again, if you are a Backstage Pass Club member, you're going to be able to see that. And for those of you that are like, what the heck are you talking about? It's where we sit down for about 3 hours and we do 3 Etsy shop audits. We batch record them. They get to sit in on it while we're doing it, ask questions. And then what we do is we air them weeks later. So you get early access. You also get to ask questions and you get to hang out with a bunch of cool people and talk Etsy for about 3 hours. And we do that usually about every 3 weeks. So if you'd like to be part of the crew, part of the club, head on over to brandcreators.com/club. Or if you're on YouTube, just click join next to the subscribe button. So this way here, for under $10, you can be part of the club. All right, cool. So let's dig into some of our little topics here that we wanted to talk about. And then if you guys have any other questions, drop them in the comments, and we'll do that. All right. So Chris, I'm going to go ahead and tee it up, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into it. And I'm going to probably lean on you here because I think you have the article pulled up. So we're going to get into it. All right. Etsy just announced something pretty big. It's something they're calling gift teasers. And I'm not quite sure how this is going to affect, us sellers or getting more sales. I think it can be probably a really good thing, but I think we should dig into it a little bit and see exactly what they're saying and how this is going to impact sellers and buyers. So, Chris, if you could pull up the article and maybe you could help us out here and let us know exactly what this looks like.
All right. So we saw this come out, Scott. I think it was a few weeks ago when it was first announced, the beginning of the month. And what they ended up doing was it was a slow rollout. And so, in doubling, tripling, quintupling down on gift mode, what Etsy has done is they've started to incorporate what they're calling a gift teaser. Most people would probably refer to this as like a gift message, but it's a little fancier than that. And so what they're allowing people to do is mark an item on Etsy that they are purchasing specifically as a gift. And what they're saying is, it allows people to send a digital preview. So what that is still really kind of yet to be seen. It is limited to physical items at this point, but what they are doing is saying, "Hey, you're getting this cool thing coming." And they said, if you are marking things as something you want to send a gift teaser, it sends a gift message to the shop manager. So when somebody buys something and they mark it as a gift teaser, they mark it as a gift in the back end, which I haven't seen that starting to come through yet, but I think that's kind
Hmm.
of cool. And then they will send the gift teaser to the recipient of that gift. So I'm assuming they're going to have you drop in the email address of that person as well to make sure that they get that gift teaser. And so this is something they think is going to increase the virality, for lack of a better term,
Hmm.
of gift mode, because people are going to start seeing that they're getting gifts from Etsy. Etsy sending them this little digital preview of what they're going to get. And then when it ships and is delivered, they get the physical product as well. So just as a general idea, Scott, what are your thoughts on going in and having Etsy on your behalf send a little preview? And do you think that will change the uptake and the usage of gift mode by people?
Yeah, you know, honestly, I don't really see. I'm thinking of myself as the buyer. If I'm getting so I'm thinking, okay, let's just say my father, okay, I'm going to buy him a gift. It's his birthday. Why do I want to give him something or let him know his gift before he receives it? Like to me, I think it spoils the surprise. So I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe you can fill in the blanks, Chris, if there's something I am missing. But I don't really understand how this is going to how it's going to work for someone that's receiving the gift because okay, let's say that I got my father a special he's a bowler. So let's say that I got him a special bowling bag that's personalized with his name on it. Well, I wouldn't want him to receive a message saying you're getting this gift. Look, be on the lookout for it because it's going to tell him what it is. So it's kind of like getting a list of what you're getting for Christmas before Christmas morning and you open up your gifts. I don't understand, Chris. I'm a little confused by this gift teaser thing. Is there more to it or am I just missing something?
So I think the argument that I could make for this is twofold. As somebody who doesn't always see their parents for, Christmas, birthdays, whatever,
Yeah.
if it's not going to show up on the day, and I know it's not because it's a personalized
Okay.
gift, then that might be cool. And I don't know what the level, because I haven't purchased a gift on Etsy since then, and I haven't seen a ton of digging into this yet. But if I could set the day that it's going to show up, right? So I know my dad's birthday is April 29th, I hope, I think. Now he's going to call me out on that. Let's just say it's April 29th. I know the gift isn't going to show up until May 1st. If I could go in as the buyer and say, hey, on April 29th, make sure he sends this, and we'll show you the preview here in just a second, but make sure this gets sent to him. That would be really cool because then it's like, hey, I didn't forget your birthday. I don't have to get on the phone and explain to him that I didn't forget his birthday and that it really is on the way. Um, that I could see. The other thing that I could see, if you look at something like Amazon, and I know, Scott, Amazon was not a thing when you were married, but Amazon gift registries are a thing. Target has wedding registries.
Sure.
And what they do is they kind of strike things off the list when people purchase them
Yeah.
automatically. And so you, as the person getting married, would know what you're getting, but you don't necessarily know who it's from until you get it, right? And so what this is doing is giving you a little bit of a preview for that. And I want to share this really quick using an example that we looked at previously, just to get your opinion on what this looks like.
Yeah.
And so if we take a look at this, right, this is what the gift preview looks like. So they're sending this, and it
Okay.
is grayed out. So if they want to ruin the surprise for themselves, they can. I know
Oh,
the
okay.
concern from a lot of people is, and I'm thinking of my grandmother here, right, who was religious about crossing off, leaving price tags on things so that you could return it, but
Right.
crossing off the price or
Right.
stickering out the price, right? No price involved, so they don't know what it is. Although I'm assuming if you're giving someone a picture of it and they can click to reveal it, that they could just go over to Etsy and find it because they know who it's coming from. But that's neither here nor there. They could also just Google the price of it and figure it out. But it is basically just saying, hey, get excited. You're getting this thing. Here's when we think it's going to be there. And then they give you the little who it's from thing and potentially a picture of the image that they can open if they want to see what it is. So it won't necessarily fully spoil the surprise. It doesn't do that other than to say, hey, this is a neat little way for the recipient to be able to track
Mhm.
when they're getting a gift. And it gives people a little bit of awareness about gift mode. So now that you've seen it, does this change your opinion in any way? Do you think even doing it this way would spoil it for the person? Or do you think this is a nice way to kind of bridge that gap if you're in one of those weird situations where it might not arrive on time? What are your thoughts after seeing what this looks like?
Well, yeah, and I think not just seeing that, but seeing what our comments have came in on this video, and I think a funny one here is, and this is totally true. It's for husbands who forget Valentine's Day and don't want a black eye. I mean, yeah, I would agree. It's probably great for that, but yeah, I think and I'm seeing it here. It's nice to still be able to give someone something if it ends up delayed or you forget until it's late. I think the forgetting and it's going to be late, I definitely think covers you. And I think it's good for that use. I don't, and I hope that it's a feature that you can say, I want to use it, I don't want to use it, which I probably will be. Um, I don't like it that it's going to be like if you want the option to be set, then it's going to, it's going to let them reveal it. But I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to check a box. So if that's the case, then I'm okay with it. And I think then it does serve that purpose because if I was going to be late, this way here, you're not really late. You're just saying like, hey, something's coming. I wanted to let you know it's going to be a little bit late. If you want to take a sneak peek, you can cheat a little bit and you can reveal it. But if you don't want to, let it be a surprise. I kind of like that. I think if it's built for that reason, then I think I'm sold. I like it for that reason.
And I think that's the use case that I would use this for as a buyer.
Yeah.
Like, perfect example. I didn't go home last year at Christmas. I sent a bunch of stuff. I actually bought a lot of things from Etsy that were customized that said originally they were going to ship and be there on time, but I knew probably weren't going to be just based on purchasing it the first week of December. Right. So, instead of sending everything to my parents' house where the rest of my family was going to be, I sent gifts to everybody's house, knowing that they would probably arrive the 26th, 27th of December. So if I would have had this as an option, that would have been cool. What I did instead was I bought like a little thing on Amazon Prime that signified the thing that they were getting and then included like a note, right, with that to be like, this isn't your actual gift, right? Here's the thing that you're gonna get. It's way cooler than the fake, mini baseball bat that I bought you on Amazon or whatever it is. It'll show up at your house in a few days. So that use case, I think, would make a lot of sense. And Scott, you said if they make it a checkbox option, and that's exactly what they did. So it's up to the individual buyer
Got it.
if they want to be able to turn this on or not. And
Okay.
we are going to start seeing this pop up more and more underneath the between the selectors. So if there's any variations or customizations and the
Sure.
buy now or add to cart buttons. And if you want to see a preview of what it would look like, you can do that. Now, the thing that's kind of annoying with this is it's not clickable at all. So I don't know what image they're going to use. I'm assuming they're just going to use whatever the main thumbnail image, that first image from the image slot here. But we can
Yeah.
tell even in this preview, it's not related to the product at all. Like this is
Mm.
what appears to be pictures of a dog behind this, and not our rock paper scissors cat sweatshirt
Yeah,
that we're
that's
looking at
interesting.
here in the listing. But it
Yep.
is kind of cool to see what the person would get. And if anybody had any doubt about checking it, they can do that. So something new to Etsy. Will this increase conversion rates? Will this increase sales? Will this increase uses of gift mode? I don't know. I think it's
Mm.
really nice for the buyer, and it
Yeah.
really does kind of function as a nice little notification to the person
Yeah.
that you're giving a gift to. But I don't think this will make people buy things. I personally, it's probably a little bit self promotional from Etsy. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's a game changer for sellers or any of those kinds of things, but it's a nice little feature if they're getting more into the gift mode that will help people that are in kind of a weird situation where something might not show up on time.
Yeah. And I would say, I think if people start to be aware that this is an option, then if you're late for a gift, you'll probably think about it. So that's going to come down to their marketing. Are they going to market it? And how are they going to market it? And then also, how much buzz does it get? Or how much do people get conditioned to know, like, oh, I can do this on Etsy. I'm going to go there because I'm running late and they're not going to get it on time. And I think that's fine. So I'd be curious in the comments. Let us know. Do you think this is a good thing? You think it's a bad thing? Let us know in the comments. And well, there you go. A little update and a new feature rollout from Etsy. So let us know if you're going to be using it. All right, Chris, let's move on. I think that was good. Let's go ahead and, well, you know what? Before we do though, real quick, do we have any quick questions in there? I mean, regards to this or not, doesn't really matter, but just curious.
Sounds a bit convoluted. The whole thing makes it feel like a way of getting press to highlight gift mode. Yeah, I mean, it totally could be, right? I think there are some use cases for it that I could definitely see, and
Yeah,
that's nice. I think the other one, and Mike said it's the getting the list on Christmas morning instead of the gifts, right? I think the other thing that's nice about that is like if you have a big list of things, then you know that you're already getting that thing.
yeah,
Um, and I think the best example of that is like the wedding registry, right? You're like, okay, somebody got us the really cool cat sweatshirt. I don't know why you would register for that for your wedding, but I'm sure someone has, right? Um,
right.
but yeah, I mean, it's a fairly straightforward thing. The only thing that I don't know, and I'm doing a little bit of digging right now just to see, is if it's enableable, if
Mm,
it's an option on the back end, or if they're just automatically including that on the front end. So I haven't seen that pop up in the back end yet. Um, so I'm curious if anybody else has, or if they're just automatically enabling that at this point. But interesting little thing that could help some people make sure that their gifts are understood.
okay, cool. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about, guys, I want to make sure that you pull up the example of that if you can and get that kind of like preloaded. So that way we can show what this new feature slash tool looks like. And then if you can also pull it up in Everbee and get that up there so we can show how that is usable. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and tee it up here, Chris. Going to give me the green light?
Go for it.
All right, cool. All right, so Etsy releases another new feature that, well, I think could be helpful, but I'm not quite sure that it is ready or that a lot of people are going to be using it. And that is they have a profit calculator. And well, I think it's a great idea in theory because, well, they want you to know how much you're going to be paying in fees. Really important thing here. There's some things I don't necessarily like about it. And I think really the thing that I don't like the most about it is it doesn't give you a lot of detail. It just gives you a lump sum. We're going to dig into it, but I'm also going to share with you another tool that actually does a way better job. And well, it shows you a full breakdown of where the fees are coming from and how much money you'll end up making after the sale. So, Chris, could you pull up the actual, well, the info on this new feature of this profit calculator that they just rolled out? And I guess Chris is muted and he is not going to show me what I want to see. There
All
we
right. It was
go.
just spinning in a circle for whatever reason. So Etsy finally, Scott, has introduced what they're calling an estimated product calculator. And this article headline calls out exactly what our problem with it is as well. They say sellers say it's missing key data to actually
Yeah.
be useful. So the fact that Etsy is rolling anything out is always nice, right? The more tools they give us, the better it is for us as sellers. And what we're seeing is that Etsy has started to roll out this profit calculator, and it will now show up, Scott, in the pricing section of your listing. So when you put in a price for any new listing that you create, it will pop up and it will automatically calculate Etsy fees, right? So they don't do a great job, and we'll see here in just a minute, of breaking everything out, but it will show you your theoretical potential earnings just at a glance based on the price. So
Mm.
before we dive any deeper into this, is this something that you think is useful in helping people understand what their margins are at the very most basic level?
Yeah, I think this should have been done a long time ago. My only thing is like, why do you have to go into the listing to find it? I would rather it be in a tool set, like go under whether it's marketing, and then in there you'll have like profit calculator. And then this way here, if you're thinking about rolling out a product or if you're getting ready to launch the product, you can do that ahead of time. But they've basically put it right in where the price is. So as you're already, you've already created the product, you've already, done all of your, your listing and all of that stuff. And now you're at this point. It'd be nice to have that ahead of time, but I get it, right? They're not in the market to help us understand product research. Like that's not their job. That's not their role, but they are giving us a nice little widget that's built in now where it will tell you exactly what it is. So you don't have to go and look at, maybe one of your past orders and see how much did they charge me for this and how much is this, even though it says it's X percent, right? And then you have to figure it all out. So I think that is a good thing. It's a move in the right direction, but I still think it's not as useful as it could be. I think it could be better.
Well, and that's something to me that's actually really interesting, right? Because you may remember, Scott, I, who does not write a ton of code, built a Etsy fee calculator a few years ago so that we could help people calculate their Etsy fees if it included advertising revenue, right? Like it took me an hour, and I am not a code genius. I know just enough to write things that work some of the time. So the fact that this is just rolling out for somebody like Etsy is a little mind-boggling to me. I would like to see it as a standalone tool, but I think the most important place for this, if it gave us everything, would be in the listing creation screen, because then you make sure that you're not pricing something incorrectly, right? So if we come into a new listing, we can see that if we set a price at 100, it, without opening anything up, tells us we're going to make $90.05, maybe, right? And so when we open this up, they give us a breakdown of what this looks like. Now, they have changed this slightly from the past, and they gave us a cost field, which by default is set to 0. And if we hover over that, it says, basically consider things like material, labor, packaging, material, and shipping not covered by the buyer. And make sure to include the cost of your time, even if it's just an estimate. Okay. How do we know any of those things? We have to go to another tab to look at what it costs on Printify to ship, this t-shirt or whatever it is. We have to add all those things together and then come in and add it in here. Now, they do also, Scott, link to what their old version of this tool was. Down at the bottom, you may see a link that says, try this pricing worksheet.
Yeah, I saw that.
Detailed version. That is a Google sheet.
That's terrible.
Right? Which is basically an Excel file, if you guys aren't already aware. It's just one of those things that is not user-friendly at all. And there's no reason not to take what this is doing and just drop it in right here. Give me a field for shipping. Instead of making me hover over this, why don't you just break out those things so that anyone who's looking at this tool has the ability to understand the different things that they need to consider? And I think, quite honestly, I feel a little cheated by this, because it is most profit calculators are rosy optimism versions of what you're actually going to make on a product, because people don't account for those things. And so what they're showing you, unless you open this up, they're saying you're going to make $90 on this, or you're going to make $9 on this. Unless you actually account for all of the things, which we're not going to give you a breakout for. So it's better than nothing. But unless you go figure out all of those individual costs and you remember all of the things that are included, instead of just giving us a breakout of those things, it's not really useful for people. It's useful at a very, very high level glance. Here's the potential that I have if shipping is magically free to me, right? Like I can airdrop something over to somebody, or digital products, right? Because you're not going to have really anything other than the Etsy fees associated with this. So if you're selling digital products, great, we're going to make $90.05 on this. If we're selling physical products, we have to add in our costs for this to be accurate. And to do that, we have to tell Etsy all of those individual costs. And they don't really tell us all of the things that we should consider. They just say, put in how much it costs you.
Right.
And so not super useful, but definitely better than nothing, and a nice at a glance tool.
Yeah, I would think that it would just be more where you can input more. But
Yeah.
it is better than nothing. So why don't you pull up the other profit calculator, which I have used a lot, and I think it works so much better. And if if an outside tool can make this happen, why can't we make this happen, or Etsy make this happen? I guess that's my big thing there. So can you pull that up, Chris?
So Amanda said, digital sellers have overhead too. Yeah, but not really. Like once you've
Yeah.
created that file, you can put it on Google Drive. There's really no overhead cost
We're talking
beyond
hard
the Etsy
cost.
station.
That's associated with. We're not saying like your time to hire a designer, or if that's the case, then you got to add that into your product cost. You know.
Yeah.
So here's the Etsy profit calculator built into Everbee. So Chris, just kind of walk through it.
Yeah. So unlike where we just had how much does this cost, and then the estimate, we actually see the different things that as a seller we need to think about, right? And one of the reasons that we love Everbee is they have a lot of these different things built in. And Scott, the right hand side of this gives us that exact breakdown of every individual cost that we're not already accounting for. So if we look back at the Etsy tool, it just says Etsy fees. It doesn't tell us what those are. It doesn't tell us any of those things. And it also just gives us our net margin that they think it will be. If we take a look at this, what they are doing is they're saying, okay, give us the sales price. Tell us how much it costs you to ship it. Are you going to discount it? If so, how much? Right? So sales price, $100 minus the shipping price, $12.95, right? And if we come in and just say $10 just to keep the math easy here, right? $10. Okay, cool. Discount automatically was set to 50% to me, right? So that would be $50 in this case, which leaves us with our potential net profit of $43.75, which we see down here in the right-hand corner. Now, if we want to change the cost of this item because we see in Printify or wherever it is that this costs us $12, then we can come in here and do that. By default, Everbee will set this to 40%, right? And so it'll be 40% of whatever the list price is for the item that you pull up the profit calculator on. It's very easy just to pop over to Printify or whoever you're using for print on demand, type in the product, right? Sweatshirt, and figure out what it would be for you to do that. You can also get the shipping cost there as well, and it will deduct those things. So if we were selling this for $100, we were charging $10 for shipping. We gave a 50% discount. It cost us $5 the item was $5.60, and the shipping cost, which again we got out of Printify, was $4.50. Here's what our potential margin would be at the end of the day.
Chris, go back up though. I want to run an example. Like let's say you're selling a sweatshirt for $40. So go up into the sale price, put $40. We're not going to charge for shipping. So shipping's going to be free. That's the shipping price. Discounts, we're not going to do 50%. We're going to do 20%. So put 20% in there. So that's everything on the front end that the customer kind of sees, right? Cost of the item, let's say, is $12. Yep, $12. That's what the sweatshirt's costing. And then we're going to go shipping cost is going to be $5. Okay. So now, right off the bat here, we're like, okay, net profit margin is 35.97%. We are profiting $11.51. Right down to the penny, we know exactly what it is. Now, you'd say, okay, well, advertising. So, Chris, if you go under the advertising, you can see there's Etsy ads or offsite ads. So you can do either or, right? And so we can select in there, what potentially that would be. Okay. And so you'd have to do offsite ads. You have to put in like, okay, 12%. 15%.
And so the difference is once you're over $10,000, it drops to 12%, right? So we're going to assume we've been selling for a little while. We get that 12%. It will automatically update that inside of the net profit calculation.
Exactly. So, I mean, this stuff right here is super important. Like, I mean, the ability to be able to input all of these and see it like super fast is really, really helpful. So let me know in the comments, guys, who is using a profit calculator in general, or even Everbee's profit calculator. I'm just curious if you guys could do that. Drop it in the comments and let us know. So looks like we lost you, Chris. It's that good old Colombian internet, isn't it?
No.
Do you lose power? All right. So that's the profit calculator. Let me go ahead and pull this down now. All right. So that's the profit calculator. I'd love to know in the comments who's using it. Do people think it's useful to be able to use this? And do you know what your profit margin is? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to know. And if you would like to try Everbee, you can go to brandcreators.com/Everbee. You can try it for free, and you can use the profit calculator and see exactly what it is that you are making or not making. So, Chris, are you back?
Yeah. StreamYard died on me. It said it was using 2 gigs of RAM and then gave me a frowny face and cut everything out. I know you kind of wrapped that up, but Scott, there was one other thing. You can hear me, right? I'm not just talking into the ether. All right. There was one other thing I wanted to show on this really fast, which is just how easy it is to add in any of the additional fees. Because even looking at the individual different things there, I don't know why it won't let me actually share my screen anymore. There we go. So even looking at all of these fees, right? This is the things most people need to account for. But if we have material costs for different things that we want to include, we can do that. If we want to account for our labor cost, we can do that. If we want to account for any of the miscellaneous things like people using different payment methods, we can figure out what those are. And this just lets us get as granular as we want to be. It's already included with Everbee when you're looking at Everbee. If you have a subscription, it's already included with it. And it gives us the actual detail that we need as a business owner to know, rather than saying, hey, like maybe just type in how much this costs you without giving us any idea of what that breakout is. Because even if you read that super helpful little note from Etsy that says, just include your costs, here's some things you might want to factor in. Maybe you're not thinking about that worst case scenario with offsite ads. And it's something, Scott, that people complain about all the time. Hey, it's impossible to make money when I sell with offsite ads. Well, if we know what we're going to sell a product for, we can account for that. So our worst case here, if we're paying 12% on top of all of the fees, on top of all of those other things, we're still going to make $7 on this. That's something we know. We can pull the cost of the items. We can pull the shipping costs, right? That's going to be an average. And then we say, worst case, we're going to make $767 on this. I'm okay with that because 99% of my sales are never going to be touched by offsite ads, which means, right, I don't have to account for ads, and I'm going to make $11.54 on the rare occasion that I do have an offsite ad sale, or I want to account for a little bit of cost per click ad spend. I can come in and do that as well, right? I can just say, what does this cost me? I don't know. Let's just say it cost me $5 to make a sale, right? I'll make $6.51 on that. Cool. I know I can probably get around 100 clicks for that, or whatever your cost per click is. That's going to be more than enough to get me a sale from Etsy ads. I'm still going to make $6.51. I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about margins. And I think that, Scott, is one of the biggest mistakes that we see people making. And they ask, how do you make $10, $20 on a product when people are selling mugs for $12? Well, you don't sell it for $12 unless you can make that based on accounting for all of those costs. But once you do have an understanding of that, then you can set your price where you need to make the margin that you want, and know that that's probably what you're going to make in most cases because you've accounted for the costs using the calculator. Etsy's step here is nice. It gets us 5% of the way there. But if you have something like Everbee, you can be 100% of the way there with just a couple clicks, and know before you even go to create the listing, before you decide to even create and list the product, how much potential you have to make profit on each individual thing that you sell.
Cool. All right. Well, that was good. All right. We have any questions, Chris, that we need to address here?
Is Everbee estimate sales based on reviews? No. The reviews are based on an estimate of how many are coming in every month. But everything in Everbee is based on an estimate, right? Nobody knows the actual number of products that are sold, but by looking at the entire database, they can get really, really close to figuring out exactly what that is. There was one other one I saw that snuck in here on me, Scott. How do you calculate the percentage of Etsy ads when you're launching a product, or don't you calculate it? I know in the videos, you don't populate the percentage of Etsy ads. And it does depend, right? You can set that threshold wherever you want. And if we look at that calculator, we can set it as a dollar amount,
Yeah.
or we can set it as a percentage. And my suggestion would be, if you're running ads on products already, look at your cost per click, figure out worst case, how much does it cost you to get 50 clicks or 100 clicks on that, and add that dollar amount in to that profit calculator. That would assume you're converting at 1%, worst case scenario, right? So let's just say we spend $10 on this. Well, maybe we lose $1 if we're running a 20% discount. But we can play with those different variables by using the Everbee profit calculator by saying, okay, when I'm running this at normal price, I'm going to make $15. If I run it at a sale, is there a potential that I lose a little bit in the worst case of ads? Yeah. But that's the beauty of something like the profit calculator, is we can play with each of those individual variables. So you can go in, set whatever discount you think you want to run, and then say, if I'm running ads on this, this might be a little tricky right now. So maybe you bump that percentage down and make sure that you're break even or better on the profit side. Scott, anything you had to add to that?
No, I think it's all good. I wanted to get to this one right here. Thoughts on selling new listings at break even to quickly get ranks and or rankings and sales boost paired with ads. If running with ads, should I turn off when ad spend, product cost? Well, yes. Yeah. I think that this is a great strategy, and it's one that we talk about, and we actually teach this strategy in our 1-2-3 pod fast track and in our Etsy ads accelerator training. If you're trying to launch a product, you have to understand that we're not looking at profit right in the beginning. We're looking at sales velocity. Sales velocity is going to win the rankings, period. Now, if you're competing against someone else that's already getting 10 sales a day and you want to get 10 sales a day and their optimization is right on point, then yeah, you need to be able to continually sell at least what they're selling or more in order to kind of signal to Etsy like, hey, we're over here too. People are buying our stuff. And then once that they see people are buying stuff, then it's going to get more granular where they're going to look at your conversion rate. How many people actually bought yours versus how many people didn't? And then that way they're going to then weight it that way. So the algorithm is definitely based off of sales, but also your optimization on the listing. But sales is what's really going to drive that. So I would say it's a great strategy. Yes, breaking even in the beginning, even as much as the first month, is worth it in my eyes, because I want to get reviews on that product as quickly as possible. I want to get sales. So this way here we signal to the algorithm, and I want to make sure that we're starting to get that sales velocity. So yes, I believe it's a great strategy. So yeah. What else we got?
Scott, does the Etsy calculator account for all of their fees or just the transaction fee? I believe it accounts for all of the fees. So it'd be the transaction fee and any of the other things. And I think they even include the 20-cent listing fee.
They do. They do.
I have to go back.
No, they do.
And look at their little thought bubble next to that.
Yeah.
That one is actually helpful. The one that tells you which fees to break out to account for your costs, not so helpful. But the one that explains which fees they're accounting for does.
Oh, I see. The one on Etsy, I don't know if they're accounting that. I'm assuming they are, because they're probably bundling all of their, kind of putting all of their fees into one lump sum.
Yeah, and if we look back at that example where I listed it at 100, it came in at like 91.50, I think, or $90.50, which would be that like 9.5%, right? Which would be the transaction fee plus the processing fee plus the listing fee plus all of those kinds of things. Here you go. Jonathan Joy, love you guys. Very like-minded ex-contractor. Thought I'd drop in. Every time I figure out the next step, bam, next day a new live telling me I got it right. Iron sharpens iron. Thanks, Jonathan. Awesome. Love to hear that.
Yeah, awesome.
White Gold Yellow says Etsy should be paying you guys as consultants, and I mean big paychecks. And Scott, that's a question we get all the time. How much does Etsy pay us to come on and do this every week?
Zero. Yeah, they don't pay us anything. That's why we need your support. We need your support, and you can do that in several ways. You can jump in and grab Everbee. And we can even start for free if you go here, brandcreators.com/Everbee. That's how you support the channel. You also can join the Cool Kids Club, actually the Backstage Pass Club. That's where we're doing Etsy shop audits about every 3 weeks. We batch record them, and then we air them at a later date on the channel. But we also get to hang out with, the Backstage Pass Club members for about 3 hours. We answer questions, we hang out, we have a good time, and we dig into some Etsy shops. We have a new one coming out actually this Thursday publicly. One will be coming out, but our recording session will be April 11th, and that will be at 12 noon Eastern time. And we'll be announcing that inside of our Backstage Pass Club here in the next couple of days. I already reached out to the next 3 people too, by the way, and they have been notified and they will be in the hot seat, which is going to be fun. This Thursday is actually tomorrow. If you're watching this live, it's a good one. You're going to like this one. It's really, really good. I'm going to leave it at that. It's good. So anyway, if you guys have any other quick questions we can address right now before we hop off, if you guys would like us go deeper on some of this product demand, finding, going through, analyzing, maybe analyzing niches, let us know in the comments. What would you like us to cover in the future? What would you like us to help you on or go deeper in? Let us know, because we're listening. We are totally listening. We're showing up for you. And we really want to help you guys. We're trying to always stay to the front of the news in Etsy and e-commerce in general. But we want to make sure that you guys are getting what you need to succeed and to win. Chris, anything else we need to address here before we officially sign off for this live stream?
No, I think that's about it for today. Scott, like you said, if you have any additional questions, you want to know more about anything that we talked about today, drop that in the comment section below. We do try to engage there as much as possible. And Scott, what was that free resource that we were giving away for people who are trying to really understand the 3-step process that we just went through, and we'll get them exactly to the validation of their niche? Can you run over that one more time for them?
Yeah, we did a full training a few months back where we went through 3 examples and we found 3 products that met the demand, but they were doing $1,000 per month. And we went through the entire process showing exactly how we did it, using the filters and Everbee and all of that stuff. So if you want that, all you need to do is in the comments, drop products. Just put products in the comments, and then we'll send you that link and you can have access to it immediately. So that's there again, a resource to help you, a free resource, by the way, to help you. And we just go a little bit deeper into the, product validation and finding those products that are in demand. So if you'd like that, make sure that you head over there and grab that. There was a question here that I don't know if we did address here that said, when checking the competition listing images, what you're looking for besides the elements you can reproduce? Is it better solution to check 2 different listings and from there reproduce the listing? Yeah, we're just cross-checking. Obviously, if a title is working, there's nothing copyrighted or trademarked about a title. A title is generally the keywords that are working. So that's what we're looking at there. As far as images go, we just want to see, is there an image that needs improvement and it's still doing good? So that's like low-hanging fruit. Or is there 2 different listings and they're using similar mock-up styles? We want to model that. So we're not copying, we're just modeling. And yes, looking at more than one that's doing well and kind of cross-referencing, like, oh, they're using all their image slots. Oh, they're using a video. So those are things that we just want to cross-check. So this way here, we can make sure that we're playing on an even playing field. So that's what I would say there. And that is definitely good. So other than that, Chris, I think we about did it here today. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. It's been awesome as usual. Again, if you want that resource for the finding those products that are getting really good demand, make sure that you drop products in the comments. Just put products. And if you want to join the club, go to brandcreators.com/club. That's our Backstage Pass Club. And other than that, keep showing up here. If you're not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe. If you haven't liked this video, like it, because that gives us a little extra boost in the algorithm of YouTube. We'd appreciate that. So that's it, guys. That's going to wrap it up. As always, take care, take action, have an awesome, amazing day. We'll see you right back here on the next episode. Take care, guys.